Hello, hello! Welcome to GM Tips. I'm your host, Satine Phoenix, co-creator of Maze Arcana and GM of Savage Nation. The topic of today's GM Tips is Kids at the Table. For this episode, I've brought in local GM TL Frasqueri-Molina to talk about GMing kids, table etiquette, and the responsibility to the emotions of the players at the table. Players come in all shapes and sizes and ages. In the last couple years, I've noticed an influx of parents bringing their kids into the gaming store. Proud papas and mamas excited to show their kids what they were into when they were their age. Game designer and author BJ Hensley created PlaygroundAdventures.net, which creates modules in different settings specifically for kids. I could roll on about all this, but instead, let's talk to TL about GMing kids. You have way more experience GMing kids than I do.
It's definitely, I feel like, a niche. Children, I think, really get into the imagination part of role-playing very easily. It takes no time at all for a child to transition from coming into a game shop with their parent or their auntie and then sitting at a table and going, okay, I'm an orc today. I find with adults, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of, do I need this, or what's this stat mean, or what's this thing mean? And with children, you just go, okay, you're going to be an elephant, and they're like, great, let's do it. So I feel like they have a lot less hang-up. And 100% of the time, the children that I've gotten to play with and jam with have really just owned that silliness that I feel like sometimes as adults we kind of get a little hesitant about.
So then how do you get kids and parents to play together? Because you have like a mom will come in and sit with her kid and she's like, oh, I'm just sitting here. But really, if she's at the table, she's playing.
Yeah, she's rolling some dice for sure, yeah. So I think what's really important is to do some level setting. When you're playing with children, there is definitely some etiquette that you need to be aware of, right? There are some things I might say at my usual table and some words I might use that are super colorful that I may not necessarily want to use around children, especially if they're coming in for like a newbie game day. So it really does help at the table to set the tone and sort of do some level setting, because we're not going to talk in baby voice and we're all elephants and we're all monkeys, right? We're going to talk in a way that the story is adult enough, but also understandable enough for children. Really amp up the creativity. And I think that works really well when children are at the table. When you just go overboard with your gestures and your voices and your facial expressions, when you go overboard with your monologues.
And it loosens everyone up.
Those are really good things to do when children are at the table, because I think they really resonate and connect with those kinds of things and kinds of behaviors. When you're playing with children, how do you get to an amazing, inspiring, adventure that's still interesting to everybody else that's at the table? If it's not a table, it's a mixed age table, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really important as a GM. It's like it's a hyper responsibility. Like you really have to be very aware, because you don't want to get too stuck in the rules, and then you don't want to make it too kiddie, and then you don't want to make it too boring, but then you can't add too much color because you don't want to get too inappropriate. Then it still has to be engaging. So how can you balance all of these things at once at a table with strangers?
Yeah.
Most of them have never seen this before. They will come into your FLGS and they've never seen this before.
What's FLGS?
So a friendly local game shop.
FLGS, Friendly Local Game Shop. Yeah, there is this one kid, and it's my friend's kid, and he's 11. However, in my head, he's so tall, he's 15, right? Which is more appropriate to how I usually game. And I was beginning GM at that time, and he gathers up all these explosives. And I'm like, are you sure you want to go into that forest?
It's like a boomer.
It's moving into this one, into the center.
Oh, no.
All the trees are moving. And he's like going deeper and deeper, and it's enclosing and closing. The forest closes in on him. The explosives go off, and he totally decimates the entire forest and himself.
Oh, no.
He ran off and cried.
I
felt so terrible. And I know he learned a lesson, right? But you don't want to make a kid cry.
No. I will be GMing a level 20 game next week that is categorically about TPK, which is total party kill. The intent of that game is I'm going to wreck your face, and hopefully you in turn will wreck my face.
It's a friendly game.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you're playing with children never die. That is just, it has to be something that I didn't even think about stating that up front. But it really has to be that kind of thing, because especially if it's children you don't know, this can be very traumatic.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing D&D, which everybody's beating up something else, like how they're taught from really young age, stop hitting your sister.
Right. You know what, let me just share a great example, because I have an actual example of this. Newbie day at an FLGS, and a young kid, 9 years old, and his brother, who was in his 20s. Right away, I fell in love with this kid, because he's about 9 years old. And again, it's been a while. I can't even remember his name, but I remember him so distinctly and what he did so distinctly. He came in a Darth Vader costume, so he had a black cape on, he had his Vader suit on, not the helmet, just him. He sat down. So this little kid, we start with the same things we were talking about earlier, right? We're gonna add just a few little rules. There's some boundaries for things that we want you to do. We want you to be loud, and we want you to do things. And here are some things that in this table, we're not gonna do. We're not gonna fight with each other. We're not gonna yell at each other, right? We are gonna fight the monsters in the story. So once that was sort of settled, the kid looks up and he's looking at all the papers, so serious. Okay. So he's looking at these sheets like he knows exactly what's happening. And then he looks at me dead in the face and he's like, "Can I play a pig?" And I was like, yes, sure, why not? So we are just going to use some base rules for that, okay? And he goes, "Can I be a ninja?"
Oh, so cute.
Okay, you want to be a pig ninja. This sounds great. We're going to use this paper, but you're totally a pig ninja. Great.
Nice.
We get to, okay, what's your name? And very confidently states at the table, "My name is Pig Dude, or the Pig Ninja." And one of the things that he really got a hold of was when it's appropriate to fight and when it's appropriate to talk.
Oh, wow.
He had these amazing experiences where he wanted to go into the dungeon. All right, we're going into the dungeon. Dungeons, usually you fight things, right? And he heard some fighting and he's like, "I don't know what I want to do." And I'm like, okay, sometimes if a player doesn't know what they want to do, they can roll the dice and see, pick a number. If it's a high number, you're going to do the thing. If it's a low number, you're not going to do the thing. So he rolled the dice and he didn't really like the outcome. And he said, "You know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do." And he walks right into the open area of the dungeon where this is like the main event.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight. This is what's supposed to happen. At least it's written that way in the module, right? This is going down. And then he turns to me, super adorable, like just the side, and he's like, "Do I have to fight?"
Oh.
Wait, do you want to fight? And he's like, "I don't think so. I think I'd actually just like to talk to them." And I was like, "That sounds great to me. You still have to roll the same dice in order to talk to somebody that you used to fight someone." And he'd already fought a few monsters before earlier in the module, so he really got the hang of what that went. But he decided that his character would be a diplomatic person. And he went forth into the cave of goblins and addressed the goblin queen with a diplomacy roll of a 20, so maxed out, and says to her in the most amazing monologue I've heard in a really long time, "Goblin Queen, let us not fight. I am like you. I may look like a pig, but I am half goblin.
Oh, cute.
And that makes you my family. We should not fight each other. We should instead have a party." Oh. And he rolled a 20, and I was like, "Y'all are having a party." This is what's happening right now with Pig Dude the Pig Ninja. That is the thing that's amazing about GMing with children. It's once you give them a few little rules, they got it down. I'm ready to go with it. I'm ready to be Pig Dude the Pig Ninja dressed as Darth Vader. We have to look at, is a death appropriate for the story, right?
Yeah.
In this point in time, it definitely was not. Even if he had completely botched the role, there would be no way that I'm going to say 20 goblins are not going to kill Pig Dude the Pig Ninja.
Yeah.
There's no way. But if you're going to GM for children, I think you really do have to be a little bit more, I don't want to say cautious, but I think you do...
Sensitive.
Yes, that is exactly the word.
sensitive.
You do need to be a little bit more sensitive. And then what's really amazing is that even in that mode, in that little bit more sensitive mode, the adults at the table are still having fun. In the case of Pig Dude the Pig Ninja, this little boy was feeling his character. He was feeling what would Pig Ninja do? What would Pig Dude do in this situation? This was not meta at all. And then when he couldn't figure it out, he would just go, could I do this? Can I do that? What about? And that is an amazing moment. It's amazing to see him own it. It's amazing to see him confident in his creativity. It's amazing that the rest of the table was like, we're gonna go, we're Pig Dude the Pig Ninja. Let's do this.
Let's follow the kid.
We're following this kid. At the beginning of the adventure, is talking to the mayor of the town. And the mayor of the town tells Pig Dude the Pig Ninja, I'm really sorry, our town is really small, and we can't afford to pay you any more gold pieces. We're using these gold pieces to open a hospital, so we have to really keep as much as possible. And Pig Dude the Pig Ninja steps forward. He's amazing. Stands up from the table, right hand on his hip, and he's like, I understand, Mayor, that we can't take any more money. Instead, I was wondering if you would be okay with paying us in donuts. And the mayor, Mayor, I'm the mayor.
Yes.
Yes. How many donuts would you like? 1,000 donuts, please. And I would love, there to be a legacy. And, Pig Dude, the Pig Ninja. And, he's carried on in these last however many, months or years it's been since we last saw each other at LFOGS. And Pig Dude, the Pig Ninja is now, Professor Pig Dude. Who knows? But even if that is not what happens, even if, Pig Dude, the Pig Ninja was never played again, and you close the book on that character, that moment is infinite. It's forever.
I am going to ask you 3 questions.
I get 3 questions.
Yes. What does your pre-game house rule explanation look like?
When you're GMing with children, whether it's children or a mixed table, I feel like you kind of have to skew to the children anyway. You have to skew to that age, even though you have adults at the table. It really is what is okay to do and what is not okay to do. And it's got to be very clear. What is okay to do? Yelling is okay. Being loud is okay. Jumping up from the table is okay. Talking in a silly voice, that is okay. Making mean faces, all these things are okay. So we always open up with something that's super positive. And then after that, it's a really short list of what is not okay. So it's not okay that we fight each other. It's not okay. And it's not okay that our characters are characters that are going to hurt other people in the story. This is not so. If you're friends in this group that's playing together, you have to think of these people as your buddies. So in this particular instance, it's not okay if you hurt your buddies. So it really is with children being very clear. It is and it's as soon as you set the boundaries, it clicks with them. I get it. These are the things I can do, and here's a few little things I can't do. And then here's some really cool things I can do. So we try, when I'm explaining things, I try to take it, I don't want to end on that, you can't do this. No, I want to take it right back up to the top, what we can do.
So I kind of feel like we covered question number 2, which is your most memorable moment.
What could it be?
Pig Dude, the Pig Ninja.
Hands down. Yes, absolutely, hands down.
Quick tip to the audience, doesn't have to do with DMing kids, GMing kids.
It does actually tie in. Okay. One of the things that I learned early on as a GM and that I've been most grateful for is this idea of the yes and. And so the idea is that if you're doing a scene with your partner, it's not something you've sketched out before, which sounds very much like sometimes our tabletop game. When you create the scene together, the way that the scene evolves and the characters continue to grow and the interaction happens is when one character does something, the other character says yes and, so you affirm that thing and then you add on top of it. And when Pig Dude the Pig Ninja shows up, yes and. You're going in that direction to see what happens. So that yes and, being super flexible and adaptable to the story. Again, if your intent as the DM is to tell the story and see where it goes, a yes and it will save you every time.
Awesome. Well, that's our show for today. A big thank you to our special guest, TL. You can find her on Twitter at, I don't know how to spell that, just...
at PML33T, because I'm that kind of nerd.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I look forward to sharing more tips with you here on Geek and Sundry. In the meantime, you can find me every Sunday on twitch.tv/MazeArcana from 12 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thanks for watching. TL, please GM us out of here.
It'd be my pleasure. The goddess avatar bursts into a silver mist that shimmers down around your head, triggering the transformation of you and your companions from your human form back to your animal form. And your last moment of recognition you realize that once you had been strangers, the fox, the bear, the hummingbird, the skunk, the wolf are now family. You watch as your friends disband from the group, heading off into their new unknown destiny. Will you ever see them again? Will you ever transform again? You don't know. But you do know this. If the time comes, you will be ready. You hear a howling on the wind, in the air. It's your pack. They're calling you. It's time to come back home, they say. It's time for you to come back home.